going to start doing tarot readings. I'm just a hobbyist at tarot, even though I have fairly read professionally, mostly just filling in for a friend of mine who is a really good psychic. I haven't read for a very long time. I am very much into teaching tarot, though. I do like people to learn how to do it themselves. I really don't have the time to read for people. I have tried my hand at a few missing persons cases. I've learned something every time that I read. And this time, I noticed a YouTube video that was basically served to me by the algorithm from Linda G., the Comanche Psychic. And she asked the question, will Trump become president? And she saw his pride in winning, and then the coffin. And I must say, when you see something like death, that doesn't necessarily mean death. That often means just a transformation, or things like butterflies or dragonflies, because they emerge from one thing into another. When you even see the Ace of Swords, one time a friend of mine hadn't heard from me for a while, and she is one of the best psychics I know, and she decided to pull a few cards, and she saw an Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is a card that actually often means death, and she was really nervous about that. And then I turned up at her doorstep. What had happened was I had left the city for a job, and I left in a hurry. I mean, I had the job offer, and then I had to get there. That's all it meant, was a clean break with the past, and often it means that. Now, the coffin card, which I'm not showing here, and I'll explain why in a minute, when I see that in missing persons cases, it pretty much always means death. Now, a coffin can also mean a respite or a time of rest, after something. I mean, you may have a really exhausting stint in your life, maybe big projects, maybe you're moving somewhere. But when I see it in missing persons readings, so far it's always meant a death. A coffin reverse means that they're not dead. And I've seen both. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to start by talking, I mean, political readings I have done before privately, and I haven't really published them. One of the first political, just for practice readings I did was on George W. Bush, and this was back when he was president. I don't remember if it was before he was on his adventures in other foreign countries. Oh dear, I think I need to censor this. Okay, I have this little sticker in the shape of a butterfly, appropriately. And I'm going to put it over. Some of these cards aren't exactly what I'd call appropriate for children. So when I see, body parts in some of these cards, I am going to cover them with this little butterfly with the word censored on it. And this is one of those cases. I realize it almost gets in, it's just a sketch. And they've probably seen worse in their science books. But I just want to start by saying that I have done political readings before, not for profit, just for my own observation, just to see how the tarot cards would come up, sort of as a learning experience for practice. I mean, public figures, you already know something about them, so you have an idea of what you're saying or what you're seeing is true. One of the earliest ones I did was for George W. Bush, and of course everyone was outraged that he was, invading 2 different countries. I used to have a photo of a reading on a website, and it showed a little candle in a natural rock holder, and the actual reading, though, that was being displayed was the one for George W. Bush, or one of the ones. I did at least 3 different, configurations of the cards: the Celtic Cross, past, present, future one, and a gypsy reading. I just want to tell you what came up to show you the kinds of things you might see. Okay, I was using this deck, and the decks I have here are all very old, and I just found a box of them when I was moving. I don't think this is the extent of my tarot card collection to show you how much I have done it through the years. It's made in Italy, though. I do remember that. It's made in Italy. This is called the Secret Tarot. There were 3 cards that came up. First of all, I cannot find in this deck, maybe I missed it, I only went through it once, and I'm pretty sure the cards weren't sticking together. Some of these, I found one deck that I can't even break apart, it's so old and stuck together. And one of my favorite decks was the Spiral Tarot deck, and this is why you don't put rubber bands around your tarot cards, because, they kind of get embedded. if you leave them for a few years. When I was doing a Celtic cross reading, the card that came up is the significator, which is basically represents the person. For George W. Bush was the tower. I can't find the Secret Tarot's tower card right now, even though I looked. So I'm just going to use this one. It's a pretty cool tower photo, or not photo, illustration. And the tower basically means a disaster. It also could have with him meant, the Twin Towers falling, and that sort of defined his presidency. But I had an inkling it was more the former, the disaster, that he's a disaster as a person. I had strong intuition. We'll read what it says. And so every tarot deck has its own little booklet. Every one I've bought so far, just about, has this little booklet that explains what they mean. They may basically, this is a Rider-Waite book, only it has the meanings printed on them, so I can show you. I had one of these cards out, but basically a Rider-Waite deck, oh, here's one. It's pretty standard. Okay, this is the meaning printed on it. Normally it's not printed on the card. That's a special deck. And everybody knows the meanings. It's pretty standard on the Rider-Waite deck. That's usually the deck people learn on. But sometimes there's variation in what the cards actually mean. And it told me to read what it said. And it says, the Tower, arrogance, presumption, mental closure, destruction, ruin, waste, prison, confinement, escape, and refuge, loss of balance, of mistaken convictions, exile, the loss of what has been evilly conquered. And that is pretty accurate as far as George W. Bush. Okay, so the Tower is his significator card. That basically tells you who he is. Then, during the Gypsy reading, this card came up, which is just the sun. It can mean happiness. But it has two naked little boys together. And there were rumors at the time that George Bush was actually gay or bisexual. And as soon as I saw the two naked little boys together, I just had really strong intuition that he's gay. So that just confirmed something in the press for me. This is the one that if somebody walked in, if I were a practicing tarot reader and somebody walked into my shop and I pulled this card where I found it in the reading, it would make me very nervous. Because it came up in the vocation category for the big Gypsy reading. In other words, his vocation is death. And then so I went in on it psychically, and I was shown an image of blood on the sand as far as the eye can see. And there's more intuition I had about George W. Bush, related actually to what Casey said that happens to certain people after they die, but I won't get into that. I mean, if I continue doing readings, I might get into some of what Casey said to actually support some of the things I've seen in readings. But, somebody walks into your shop, you get his vocation as death, and there's blood on the sand as far as the eye can see. I mean, what is that? That goes beyond serial killer. That's a mass murderer. And, that's pretty much true. Now, I wrote down a couple of things that Linda, the Comanche, and it's very good to have, little index cards to write things on. Like, for example, if something comes up in a reading and you're thinking, ooh, that's interesting, like, for example, if Putin were to come up in this reading, I could just jot down the word Putin. It's like, well, maybe I'd want to explore him another time, but I'm not going to spend 3 hours on this reading tonight. I don't know if the spirit guides or whatever gives me psychic intuition is going to stick around for 3 hours, and I'd be pretty tired if I just sat around for 3 hours and did a reading. Basically, when things come up, I'll write Putin, actually. That would be an interesting one, as would Elon Musk and RFK Jr., some of the people who hang out with Trump, and J.D. Vance. And also I'm interested in climate, because there was recent news that the carbon sinks are collapsing, and of course the ice sheets in Antarctica and Greenland are melting far faster than they thought. And now this new movement in the environmental saga is basically going to make that even worse. But basically, I'm wondering, she asked the question of wherever she gets her psychic intuition, I consider it to be spirit guides mostly. Will Trump become president? She saw cards that showed her pride, pride of him in winning, and then the coffin. I pulled some cards initially. I just had, as I was laying out these different tarot decks here, I just pulled cards, and for some reason I'm asking to keep, I've been asked to keep the cranes separate from the rest of it. I don't know, that maybe that comes up later. But I have pulled all these cards because they mean something. And you'll see a lot of times people will just take a card deck. Well, here we'll take my favorite spiral tarot deck. And even though cards mean different things, you don't want to go through the whole deck and just recite what the card means. You want to use some of the visual imagery. So I can take the spiral tarot here with a, degraded rubber band still stuck to it. And, oh good Lord, that needs to be censored. Okay, so here's somebody fending off an attack. Okay, so if I were to pull this, and I don't even want to say what this reminds me of with Trump, because it's obscene. Some of the stuff he's been, I wouldn't say busted, but accused of doing. Yeah, that basically is confirming that. And I will say as a disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. I don't expect to give a 100% accurate tarot reading, and most tarot readings are not 100% accurate. Incidentally, the card I just pulled is Justice. I've been told to put that down, like plop it down right on top. Okay, so that's the one with the rubber band stuck. Maybe that's why the rubber band had to be stuck here, so I'd play with this until I turned it over and looked at it. Okay, so the question for me is, what happens to Trump? I mean, does the coffin mean that he passes away? Is he going to pass away before he becomes president or shortly after? Can you give me an idea of why? Maybe both spiritually and physically. What's going to happen? Why isn't she seeing J.D. Vance in the picture? And I will say that I've started to get intuition already, since, a lot of times spirit guides respond immediately, not just waiting for you to do a reading. Although I was sort of, obsessed with this today, and that's, I think, spirit guides' way of badgering you to actually sit down and do a proper reading. After she said that, shortly after, I started to get some intuition that things weren't going to turn out as everybody expected. And they wouldn't go farther than that. And I don't know if they're going to go farther than that tonight. And I'm sorry, this table's so rickety. When I put my elbow on it, it jiggles. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. But I have to say, I have to do it on this old card table tonight because there's so many cards. I don't have a table. Well, I could use the kitchen island, but I use that for food, and there's a lot of projects that I'm working on covering that, and there's stuff to do on the dining room table. Anyway, things aren't going to turn out as planned or as expected. And so I want to know why, and I want to know if Trump doesn't survive long enough to become president, or he becomes too disabled to become president, what causes that? Does Iran attack? Does he choke on a Big Mac? Does he have some kind of health problem, perhaps a stroke? There have been rumors of a series of mini strokes, which seem to be very apparent. And in fact, the cognitive exam they gave him would be something they give to somebody who not only had a stroke, but who they believed had to be put in a nursing home. There's all kinds of things going on with him as far as his health. He's an elderly man, and he hasn't had a good diet, and he's overweight. Maybe he'll die of a heart attack like my uncle did, who used to like to play golf. He always wanted his death to be on a golf course, and it was. Because that's what he enjoyed doing. So, so I kind of wanted to know a little bit more about that. I wanted to know what becomes of him, what road we're heading down. That's a different path than we'd expect. I don't know if they're going to tell me that tonight, but I'm hoping to get a hint, or at least a narrowing down of the topic. So right away, they wanted me to plop this down on the top, and I still have to, I just impulsively want to scrape the rest of that rubber band off the back of it. This used to be my favorite deck. It's probably still in print. I could probably just buy another one. But okay, so this is Justice. Let's see if they'll give me any intuition on it. Okay, I'm seeing the peacock feathers behind her, and this feather on her head, which kind of looks like it's in the shape of maybe a cut diamond. And so that the peacock would be somebody. If the peacock is a totem animal, it could be somebody who likes putting all of their ideas out there. But in this case, I'm basically seeing a show off. And a diamond on top means, that money's on the mind. It almost looks like, I don't know what that is hanging off her scale, but it almost looks like a feather on one side and something else in the other. I mean, it balances out. Or maybe they're two different animals. I don't know. But basically, and I'm also noticing that it's a female form with kind of a bosomy woman. And so you have some of his vices there. He likes to show off. He likes money. He likes, and I'm also drawing attention to the moon. A lot of times the moon means illusion. And I'm looking at the 1 in the number 11, and I hate to say this. It says 1 month to live. That's what I'm being told right now. 1 month to live. I don't know, if that's accurate. Boy, I'm not saying that officially. I'm just saying that's the intuition I just got at the moment. The moon is illusory. They're giving me that word illusory. Obviously, the peacock feathers, they're giving me the word show off. The thing that is actually a feather but looks like a diamond, they're showing me means fake money, or somebody who's really flashy but doesn't have the guts or the wealth to back it up. I'm also being shown this little pin here on her neck. I'm getting the intuition that that's like an eye. I mean, normally a third eye would be in the forehead if you're talking about chakras, but I'm getting that, what is that an eye for? Oh, they're saying I like me, somebody who's very self-centered, extremely so. Holding a scale of on a very flimsy string, and with a couple of bracelets on, very flimsy looking. Okay, what I'm getting from the flimsiness of that is that he's basically getting special treatment with his legal problems. He's basically not even getting a slap on the wrist. And you see her limp wrist? That's kind of what they're saying there. It's like limp-wristed justice. Even though she has a big sword here and she's the justice lady, she's the judge, apparently. Very little accountability, almost no accountability. And that's what I'm getting. And then there's a swoop here in the skirt, and then they want me to leave this card alone. And it kind of looks like flowing blue color. And they're showing me like a tide. And the tide of change. And then they're saying tide's going to get you. Whoa. Wow. Okay. So what I'm demonstrating there is basically how I do this. I mean, the card may mean, I'll go back, I'll pull this back for just a moment. Okay, justice, that's pretty self-explanatory. My eyes being drawn to things and getting psychic intuition and what they mean, that's how a person does a psychic reading instead of just a straight tarot reading. And you usually have to incorporate some form of psychic intuition into your tarot reading, or it's very boring. So it doesn't really tell you much. I mean, basically, most of it's just confirming what we already know about him, but that's good. That's good when they do that, because that tells you that they're dealing with the same person. You've hit your target, they understand. All right, so we have strength here, and then we have the chariot. The chariot can often mean transportation. So what does this actually mean, though? Oh my gosh, I can't believe they did this. Okay, sometimes they actually will give you letters and words, okay? So I'm seeing the last two letters of this, the word to, and then forward, the word riot. Almost the word ache here. And in fact, if you combine it with this, it is ache. But they're showing me like the video of the policemen screaming when they were slamming the door. They had them caught in the door, were pushing on it and basically torturing the guy. The bar, okay, they're eliminating the GE. The bar of, they almost want to put the word a lone wolf in there, but I'm getting the words of the bar of justice is higher. Woo. Okay, so that really didn't have much to do with transportation. Is there anything to do with transportation on this? Ooh, I'm being drawn to her face, which is a very vacant stare, almost like she doesn't comprehend stuff. Like she's la 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 la. She's kind of often thought that has nothing to do with her surroundings, and she actually doesn't look too bright. And they're basically telling me, yeah, he's not that bright, which is, again, something we already know about him. But the bar of justice is higher. Okay, so they're kind of giving you an explanation of what's going to happen before they even tell you what's happening. I mean, maybe that 1 month to live and the bar of justice is higher. I mean, it could be this is a karmic issue that has to be resolved now. And we're seeing strength, and I'm kind of getting looking at strength, and oh my gosh, double strength. They're telling us to be strong, but they're also telling us to be just, is what I'm getting. I can't help but notice that this has a lot of sunflowers on it, and it's also the colors of Ukraine, and there's a happy little guy there. Oh gosh, he even looks like a little baby Zelensky, you know? And there's a sun above him, and is this actually a strength card, or is this a sun card? Okay, so yeah, they have a number on it. No, it's not strength. Strength is number 8. Okay, so the sun, for some reason though, if I think it was strength and I picked it up, that's what it means. That's what they mean with it. So, I mean, they're basically, they're paying a compliment to the people of Ukraine. And like horses, a lot of horses work very hard. They're saying that they're very brave and they're working very hard. The little kid is naked, and I mean, they're basically saying that they deserve to be in the sun and be free and play like children, and their children should have good lives. I'm getting all of this. I mean, basically, see, the spiritual world doesn't come out, in my experience, with blatant political statements. They come from an ethical standpoint, a standpoint of what the Swedenborgians would call truth and love. I mean, both are very important, and it's important that they're combined. So they will give you the truth, but they will explain to you why it's the right thing to do if you have a good heart. So basically, they're telling you why, or they're giving you the characteristics of the Ukrainians and telling you that they deserve better. They're not really giving us the political solution for that. They're just reminding us of that they deserve better than what they're getting. That, you know, everyone deserves to have a good life and be free like a little naked kid riding his horse. So far, all they're getting out of this is misery and death, and the loss of their land. And they do have a flag that they're fighting under. They want to be free. And with the sunlight, I mean, basically, the sun is confirming that they should be free. It's basically like the heavens pouring down on them. All right, when they first had me pull this card, I thought it referred to Trump, like there's nothing he can do. But now I'm getting some other intuition. It's called the Hanged Man. I mean, for a minute there, you wonder if it's Mike Pence. But I'm getting more like it's J.D. Vance. You know, you remember Mike Pence, so they're like, we'll hang Mike Pence during the riots or the insurrection. The little tufts of grass here at the base of these logs are shaped like crowns. And let me think. So I'm asking, even this guy has more hair than J.D. Vance, why is this J.D. Vance? So I'm asking them. They're showing me a little white foot. Like white supremacy and the KKK immediately pop into my mind. And they're taking the letters at the bottom and they're saying D-E-M-O-N, like demon. And they're saying the demon. Basically, they're telling me, I mean, as far as I can tell, that this white supremacy and the KKK is something that's demonic. And I don't think they're talking about any one person here. I think they are referring that J.D. Vance is a bit of a racist, even though he may be married to someone of a different race. But they don't like that attitude. That attitude goes against them. Being a white supremacist or, something to the extreme of KKK, a person who takes action and harms people on behalf of those beliefs. I mean, it's one thing to be a bigot and keep it to yourself. It's another to go out there and kill people and try to prevent them from voting and things like this. And to them, that's what a demon is. That's what I'm getting from this. And or at least one of the things a demon could be. And they're drawing my attention that his knee is bent. Okay, so it's like an upside down 4, or a right side up B. Oh yeah, I think they're confirming to me that he's the vice president, like AB, he's number 2. Is there any significance that he's hanged in this picture? I mean, does something happen to him? They're saying GED man, GED man. Well, GED's like for people who don't complete high school. Is that what they mean? Oh, they're actually saying good man. Hang him? Oh my gosh. I can't say stuff like that on this. Okay, I'm getting that it's not cool to hang members of the KKK, but they can't blame people for having those strong of a feelings about it. Basically, those feelings are being stirred up, and they're valid feelings because they're built into us, that we know in our hearts that it's wrong to be prejudiced. It goes against what we're taught and what we should be. That's what I'm getting. And okay, they want me to hold off on just tossing this on the used pile. Hang on, what else? There's something to do. Oh, this little arrow pointing down near the, I don't know if you can see that. They're saying, oh my gosh, they're saying he's going down. They're saying it like this, he's going down. Again, not sure what that means. All I'm getting from them is he's going down, down, down. Okay, I was going to go to the strength card. Again, okay, so I thought this was going to be like a karma issue, but they're just drawing my attention to the demon. Oh, and to this person pointing to something in a book. And this person happens to be very high in gold, which is the color of good in Swedenborgian terms. I do mix psychics and sometimes Swedenborg was a Christian psychic, or what they call Christian mystic, and so was Edgar Cayce. And so sometimes I mention them in passing. And so yeah, gold is actually a color of good. Silver would be the color of truth. So he's basically like reading something from the book, and they're drawing to your attention that this is a demon here. And I kind of get that this is another judgment card. This is another form of judgment. Like there might be judgment for what they've done, but there's also judgment for what's in their heart. Okay, and I'm being told to recall this card. I didn't get everything out of it. It's like they're explaining to me why this has to go down, or why that this is actually a judgment on them, on their beings, on their whole heart and beings, and that this is what the spiritual realm is reacting to, including the spirits that are in us while we're still alive. And you have a lot of people pointing to books, not exactly the Bible. I'm kind of getting like karma, like the certain laws of karma. I'll give you one example of how strong karma is, at least according to the Christian psychic Edgar Cayce. According to him, Jesus actually was reincarnated several times. And I will mention that Cayce at first didn't want to believe in reincarnation, but he claimed a part of why he was given the psychic powers that he was because he read the Bible once a year, every year. He basically came across, after he started to see reincarnation in his readings, he came across several points in the Bible where it was mentioned the next year when he read the Bible again. So he came to believe, he became to become more comfortable when he saw that in his readings. And I'm seeing Taro, like tarot, and I'm seeing like a snake here with a I think they're basically poo-pooing tarot, like that's not something they really prefer to use to communicate, but I mean, it is a way to try to get some communication. So according to Edgar Cayce, Jesus had been reincarnated a few times, and some of those lives are detailed in the Bible as people that we know from the Bible. Basically, I'm not going to get into a Sunday school class, but one of these people had hung kings in a tree, or in trees. Well, so Jesus is praying to his Father God when he's about to be crucified and asking, well, why have you forsaken me? Well, these aren't Cayce's words, obviously, they're mine, but well, guess what, Jesus? Karma's real. I mean, I don't know if he was meant to do this because Even he is subject to karma, or he was supposed to overcome karma or whatever, but karma still goes on, and karma is very real. And if he hung kings in the tree, then he had to experience what it was like to be hanged, because karma actually is a very strong force. Okay, I see why they wanted me to recall this card. It says Wheel of Fortune at the bottom, and my thumb is covering everything except for the FOR, and they're confirming that, like, the rest of the word is force. But then fortune is already on there, and we all know that this election had to do with people wanting to make fortunes, get big tax cuts and things like that so that they could make a fortune at the expense of other people. Let's see if they want me to say anything about that. They just have this guy's look on his face, which is, in this case, they're saying basically, yeah, we've got your number. We know you're doing it, to the people who are behind it. So that's just basically the spirit world telling them, yeah, we know what you're up to. All right, so this came up, and I thought this was because, the guy doesn't look too bright. He's pulling magic tricks. And I thought, well, maybe this represents Trump. So let me come in on this psychically. Yeah, I see the moon here. Even though the magician actually is somebody who, I guess you describe, on a classic tarot deck, I guess you describe him as someone who has a lot of tools in his toolkit. In this case, the moon tells me, yeah, this is an illusion. This is a guy pulling a stunt. Oh, the hand in the air, they're telling me that represents Trump's fist in the air. So, yeah, this supposedly represents Trump. The star here is, he hides behind the flag. I guess that's what you'd call wrapping yourself in the flag. But they're saying, no, he hides behind the flag, which is something we all know about him already. They're saying, but his cup doesn't runneth over. His cup is empty. Like he's a very... They're not giving me... They're not telling me that he's the opposite of somebody who's very kind and giving. They're telling me he's vacant. Okay? He's very vacant. In fact, the word despondent came to me. That's odd. That's odd. I have always sensed a form of neediness from him. Like, why is he always chasing these women? His niece Mary talked about how, the lack of love in their household had a lot to do with it, with his personality disorders. And popularity and having a lot of people love you is a two-edged sword, as I learned in college. And this is just an insight I'm adding on my own, just for the benefit of any young kid who's watching this and hasn't had enough experience to realize it. When a lot of people like you, that takes a lot of your time. You want to talk about getting things done for yourself, even taking care of yourself and doing your housework and your chores and trying to add, do something else with your life on top of that. Like, not only your job and having friends that want to talk to you all the time, but, you want to get a few things accomplished in your life. Oh, they're giving me another message here. Okay, I'm seeing the part of the word here that says CIA and then MAG. There's another word they want to come up with. Oh man, that's not nice. I cannot say that. But basically they're saying people within the government, he's trying to play up the fact that he's some kind of a bullet magnet, like that makes him a hero, when he's basically stolen secrets, including nuclear secrets, apparently, and they just don't put up with that. The CIA, I happen to know from knowing certain people that the CIA threatens its own. Like, if they think you're going to go work for another country and you know too many secrets, basically, no, you're not doing that. You're staying here. Those kinds of threats go on all the time. And, some guy is president of the United States and he leaves with a bunch of secrets and they don't even know where some of those documents are now. And his son-in-law was paid, well, not exactly paid, but given billions to invest by the Saudis. And Trump has a really close relationship with Russia. And so they're wondering if some of our secrets ended up there. Well, when they're willing to kill their own scientists for doing stuff like that isn't even as bad. You're taking secrets that they threaten people's lives over revealing. You're taking boxes of them and you're stashing them in your toilet. And it's like, what's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to you? And they just told me something that might be tried. But, you know, I have no idea if that had anything to do with the people already who were trying to use guns. I mean, I just got a message that they might try something more subtle than guns. Oh. Okay, we're coming back to karma. Oh, we're coming back to something else. Okay. Okay, so we know the CIA is upset with him. Now we have this. A woman, this is actually a justice card from a tarot deck. And it's a woman basically who could be a Palestinian Arab, definitely an Arab woman of some kind. This basically, I forget the name of the deck, but it has a lot of scenes in it that appear to be from Egypt. And so we're talking about the Middle East here. And we have a high priestess and we have a justice card. There are different types of justice. One type of justice, of course, is the court system, which really hasn't, or is like the one card and combined with intuition said, and I'm seeing another justice card that they've given me over here. And you see a couple of tablets here, like almost like the Ten Commandments type tablets that you see in the movies. And something that appears to be death or a demon down here. At least that's what my intuition tells me, but it's actually just maybe a snake wrapped around her leg, which is really covered in something dark or shrouded. I'm not sure what that is. Some kind of a beast at her feet, maybe. And definitely a tail that could be like a tail of a lizard or something on the tablets. It could also be a worm or the end of a snake. Those look like snakes over there. Okay, and oh my gosh, yin yang symbol up there. Okay, so this is another justice one, and for some reason they want me to use this. This is actually a hermit card, but oh, now my attention is being drawn to this guy, which seems to be a cobra. You know what happened with Cleopatra and the cobra? So even though I don't think he's not meant to be, I don't think he's meant to be Middle Eastern. He's meant to look like a hermit, but he has a cobra there. So this is all Middle Eastern. This is related to the Middle East right now. And you have two justice cards, a hermit and a priestess. I mean, what does that mean? So I'm going to come in on these psychically. Okay, this is actually difficult, but they're telling me this is very difficult and involved, and they might not want to spend that much time with me on it. And they're telling me now that it's self-apparent. Okay, but basically what we're saying is this lady is saying, you don't care about me. They're drawing my attention to her mouth, and what's coming out of her mouth is, you don't care about me, what happened to me, what am I going to die, because you're just a fraud. That's like what's coming out of her. Well, a lot of people already have died. And, that wasn't under Trump. That would have been under, the Jewish regime in Israel, which is probably why we're getting the Ten Commandments there. Well, we're getting something that looks like a serpent over the Ten Commandments. And that basically is saying that the people who are doing this in the name of God or Judaism are serpents. Basically, and serpents aren't considered to be spiritually very low, or they're used as a symbol of that. I mean, they're just poor little animals out there trying to make a living, obviously eating rodents and helping us keep the rodent population down so they don't eat all our grain. But in symbolism, yeah, they're not seen as basically when you call someone a snake, well, that's self-explanatory. So you have somebody using religion and they're a serpent. Murdering a lot of people. You have a hermit. I'm kind of getting the intuition this is like Joe Biden. It is a gray-haired man. He has a long beard, though. The walking stick and the lantern. And, okay, so yes, he is very elderly. He doesn't need a walking stick because he's kept himself so healthy, but he's at that age where you might expect him to have one. And, I don't know what's in that light. Something about what's in that light is significant. And it does, I mean, I guess it's some kind of lantern, but it has like these little things on top that almost look like helicopter blades. So he's carrying the weapons. And There's a serpent here. Okay, he's giving the weapons to the serpent. Oh man. Yeah, this is telling it. And actually, when they had me stack these, this is how strong the spiritual message is, because I was getting intuition onto where to place these decks, okay? So this is the Ibis Tarot, but you notice there's an Egyptian scene on it, okay? So again, Middle Eastern theme. Then I was supposed to put this next to it, Native American theme, okay? You get the connection? Genocide, genocide, okay? Then they wanted me to put this on top of it, kind of sideways, karma, the karma tarot. And then they wanted me to do this again. Okay, this is a guy from the Amazon, or at least that's, I think, what the deck is showing, okay? This is Native American. And then this is obviously a spiritual lady. And, you know, she has a dark bird on her. And a lot of times birds mean, like if you see a white bird in a reading, supposedly sometimes that means somebody who's passed on. Oh man, now I'm getting this. Okay, but this is a dark bird. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, a lot of times if it's a crow, it might mean, or a raven, it might mean magic. But in this case, I mean, black and white, a lot of times black means evil. And I'm getting, even though this isn't a card and it's just the illustration on the deck, I'm getting that the bird is telling her things, like that's her reconnaissance, that's her intelligence source. He's telling her what's happening. So basically, she has basically the spiritual entities have a way of knowing. They're telling us that, yeah, we're hearing about you, we know about you. Again, that theme, we know what you're doing, we know what you're up to. Now, I was just given the intuition to go to this card now, like they were saving it for now. Okay, so you have black and white, mostly white birds flying. I mean, I thought it had something to do with the extinction because cranes were almost extinct for a while. I'm not even sure that they are cranes. It looks like they might, well, that one has a curved beak, but some of them don't. They look more like cranes, you know, the white ones with the black tipped. Whooping cranes actually have that configuration, but so do other cranes, and they have black in here, which I forget what kind of crane that is. But yeah, there are cranes like that, a type of Asian crane probably. And pardon me. Okay, so you know you want to talk about birds, white birds representing people who've passed on. There's a lot of them here. I mean, you have a flock of rare birds, and they're telling me to mention again rare birds, as in there aren't that many Palestinians in the world, and they're just being slaughtered. And slaughtered is a word they told me to use. And then they have off to the side here, they wanted me to put this off to the side, and you have the Fool holding a purse. You know, I wonder if this has to do with J.D. Vance with that one photo where he was cross-dressing. But he's obviously, or maybe, is this supposed to be a woman? I can't tell. Kind of looks like a manly face. I don't know, but it is a person. It almost looks like a padlock for a purse with a dog. And but the main thing is that it's the Fool. Like, so only a fool would do this. And then I'm being drawn to these two cards that happen to be, like this was the one for George W. Bush's vocation, and this is actually the card that's on the box for the Secret Tarot. And basically they're showing me death for money. And also scenic view. Like they're saying, yeah, they're killing these people because they want the scenic view, I guess, of the ocean. And you see some kind of strange crossbred animal here eating a fish, and something that almost looks like a Native American's head, like in art form. next to it. And that could be, oh yeah, they're reminding me about, the settlers in our country taking away their means of living, basically their wildlife that they relied on. So they're basically comparing genocides. They're basically saying, justice is coming and we know what you're doing as far as the genocide goes. This they want me to, they're saying we've said enough. And, they're also saying be warned. They're saying, the high priestess, they're saying justice is coming. And I think they mean, is it just in a spiritual sense? They're saying yes. But they're saying something else too. In the highest. At the highest is what they're saying. The highest justice. Okay. Let's go to, they're telling me to put this one to the side. Yeah, it looks like romantic issues. I don't necessarily need to. Okay, there's something about this world card, and this has to do, I'm getting, well, now it's being pulled back, that maybe I was mistaken on this one, so let's hold off on this one. Now they're telling me to come back. They'll explain it. Six of vesicas. Okay, so what am I supposed to think of this one? Okay, they're telling me it has to do with what looks like water around it. And then gold in pieces. Now I'm getting the intuition that's not very important, and I'm not getting it. It was a very simple message they're telling me, and I didn't get it. Okay, so, they're revisiting this. Environmental message, yes, gold over water. Okay, so what that means basically is this whole climate change thing. That basically they're telling us a catastrophe is coming, and it's all because of gold. In other words, people want money. Basically, they're telling us we're very foolish. Just basically commenting as a society that, you could have survived as a species and you chose to enrich certain people instead. And they're not really giving us much of a lecture. I assume, and it's not good to assume when you're doing a tarot reading, you should always ask. I'll write that down. We'll have to do an environmental reading. Oh yeah, I already have that listed here. But okay, I'm getting the words nothing can be done. It's too late. All right, now I'm being shown death. And this is a Native American that says command. That is a ballerina. And it's also a card on talent and a fool, and a card on temperance. Okay, so we have the star, which is basically, when you see the star, that's a good thing. That's, you basically get your wish. And then you have judgment here, and you have somebody, this particular deck, let's see, which one was this, is a sort of interesting graphic. You have a woman looking up into water, or something that looks like water, or a mirror, or a reflection of some kind, looking at herself and sticking her hand in there. I don't know, is that looking at herself or someone else? But that's the judgment card, and it's kind of a bizarre one, but I mean, they'd choose it for a reason. I'm being told this might be, again, have to do with the Middle East, and we'll see, water pouring down like a fountain, but it's not that. It's something else, like a chip, like a computer chip, and something melting. Saying all the technology. And then they have a woman she in a way represents creativity because of her beautiful dress, the beautiful hemline here, the style of it. So they're saying something about technology versus humanity, basically. computer generated versus human generated. We're here they're telling us we're here to be ourselves, basically. They're saying men can't do it. They're saying destroy the earth, destroying the earth. Men can't do it, destroying the earth. What is that, a commentary on technology? I think it's on the way we're using technology. That's what I'm being given. That we're destroying the earth by using technology. Like if we just stuck to being what we were supposed to be, doing what we were supposed to do with our lives, we wouldn't be destroying the earth. In other words, we use technology badly. People get a hold of technology. I don't think I have to explain that much. I mean, people who use technology for destructive things and evil things, they're saying they're passing judgment on it. The star, right, getting your wish. This woman is asleep. Oh, they're saying basically this is like a respite card, like the coffin. That's what they're using her for. Like her wish is basically to get relief. And I think, gosh, that reminds me of just about what everyone is feeling right now with Trump. It's like, gosh, can't we get some relief from this guy, from the incompetence and all that other stuff? I mean, the constant lies, the showboating, the spreading hate all the time. It's like we have to go through this again. And so her wish basically is to get relief from that, get a rest from this guy, not being bombarded with his nuts language all the time. And so she's trying to get some sleep here, like she's kind of drowning in it, and she doesn't want to go below the surface, but she's trying to rest her eyes as she can. All right, so what else? They're telling me there's something else about it. Rats. The rats. They're having me read this backwards. They can do stuff like that sometimes. Oh man, they just told me something else that I really can't repeat on YouTube. It has to do with the Middle East again and the survival of Israel, whether it does or not. We do have Iran that's been highly irritated by the man. They're not coming out and saying that Trump or the country is going to be attacked by Iran. Now they're giving me a lot of Middle Eastern stuff tonight. I wonder if that's part of this. You're seeing, they're reminding me. A part of the reason they had me pick the star out was because these go together. For the Muslim symbols, the star and the crescent, they're reminding me of that. Okay, so then what they're saying is, okay, people are on their high horse and they're fools. All right, this is the Empress. This has to do with the Middle East because the Muslim symbols, the star and the crescent. All right, now I'm being shown to use the death card, and they're basically telling me there's a lot of death. And they're telling me the flowers here are meant to make it look pretty, but it isn't. It's death. People are dying. And people are on their high horse, like talking about the hostages and, no, this or that isn't good enough. We have to go in and destroy these people. All of this. Okay, so they're putting that as a backdrop, that people are on their high horses, and then they show me this. Who does this look like? I mean, to me, that looks like Kamala Harris, okay? And the eagle, the eagle represents the United States. She's already an official of the United States, the second highest office. A little scepter there, see, she's a ruler. She's already a ruler. So I think this is Kamala Harris. And okay, so I think I get what they're saying. I'm thinking that all this death is going on. She's on her high horse. I think they're telling us by not acknowledging the suffering more directly and trying to play both sides of the issue to not offend anybody. Well, that's offensive to them. I think that's what they're telling me. So now I'm going to ask them if I'm correct. And then they're bringing this card into it, and they're showing me that it's nipping at their heels. That basically this is something that's nipping at their heels, and they see it as a small problem. But this clenched fist here, and that little wristband, which a lot of people wear, like little wristbands for their causes, and then they have like a bag full of stuff. Oh, they're telling me this represents that a lot of people lose everything they have. They just leave with a bag of stuff. That offends them too, not just the death. Like, you don't have to go as far as killing someone. The fact that you'd drive them away basically over a cliff. I mean, they're giving me a lot of symbolism here. That's offensive to the spiritual world. And so at first I thought that this meant, I mean, I got intuition that I got it wrong, so I didn't come right out and say it, that I thought at first this meant that they thought these people were nothing, just like a little cat nipping at their heels and, only not being able to go through the boot maybe and not really bothering them that much. So why should they care? Because it's such a small part of the electorate. But what they're telling us is that it angers them and it angers a lot of people too. A lot of people have taken up the cause. It's not just the people who live there. The good people are offended by genocide and making people homeless and basically casting them out and driving them from their land. That good people everywhere are offended by that. And, we've done it before in our country. They don't like to see us doing it again. They're basically telling me right now, you should have learned your lessons. Should have learned your lessons. That's what we taught you to do. That's what they're saying. As they're saying, your teachers taught you about this. You know you shouldn't do this. You know it was wrong, but you did it. So, I mean, they're basically saying this, and now they're having me put this next to her. And, when I say they, I mean the spirit guides or wherever the source of intuition comes from. I think it is spirit guides. Some psychics have really strong spirit guides, I think, because they read all the time. And I had really strong intuition that I should read tonight. Notice I don't have a nice movie type set up tonight. I just have an old card table because I didn't really have time. I kind of was given the intuition, look, we're ready to go now. Set it up now. Use the old card table if you have to. Just set it up now. We're ready. We want to do this reading now. I mean, I'm lucky when the spirit guides actually give me a good reading. I try to use my intuition to think about that. Okay, now they're showing me this card, which I normally consider to be a talent card, or because it's a ballerina, I thought at first maybe it meant Russia. And they're telling me, well, that could mean Russia, but no, that's not what they mean by it in this context. And they're also showing me this Native American and, command. And they're telling me this is actually a commandment. These people should be left alone. They shouldn't be touched. Then they're showing me this, and they're showing me this, and somewhat this, but mostly Trump. And then they're going back and showing me the spotlight, like people tossing roses at them, the spotlight's on them. They're feeling good about themselves, like everybody loves me, I'm going to do well. I did well by playing both sides of the issue and pretending one issue didn't exist maybe, or downplaying it. Kamala Harris at least acknowledged it, and she didn't downplay it that much, but she kind of used word magic, like how Israel defends itself matters. Well, that's her way of saying, yeah, but you shouldn't commit genocide. That's basically her flag to the activists, telling them, hey, man, I know what you're saying. We're going to do something about it, but I can't defend all of the Jewish voters. And Trump's just basically there like, Muslim ban. You know how he is, just very bigoted. So they're basically telling me both sides, this, that. Both sides are, the word keeps popping up, showboating. But there's a form of dishonesty in showboating is what they're telling me. And then they're taking this and they're putting showboating here, and they're saying these people are wise to it, we're wise to it. Okay? They're saying to her, you should know better. Okay, you should know right from wrong. They're basically saying Trump's not, Trump's going to be Trump. He's dishonest. He's not that bright. He knows better too, and we know he knows better, but he doesn't care. So he gets his judgment for that, but you're a good person. We thought more of you. You know better. This is wrong, and they're putting it next to this. But they're telling me not to put it next to here just yet. They also have something about this horse that they want to say, her and this horse. They're saying, get off your high horse and do something about it, like right now. They're telling her, oh, look, under the activists here, you're a powerful person. Why aren't you doing something about it now? Why are you waiting? Why is this an election promise? And they're showing me like this with half a the glass window behind her with the two circles. One's like almost completely covered. It's like, well, here's a circle of the Israeli hostages. Ooh, let's pay attention to them. Okay, let's play a little sliver of attention to the Palestinians. That's what they're drawing my attention to now. And they're saying they're changing this last little piece of this word trice to truce, and they're saying yes. They're taking this and kind of jumbling the word and saying imperative. They're not even saying, or they will die, or the Palestinians, the natives of the land will die. They're again, they're saying something about Trump, and here's the word die. Herr, which means Mr. in German, or a man in German. Temper tantrums. They're basically saying Mr. Temper tantrums. D can also mean the Mr. Okay, so maybe they're not saying die, Mr. Temper tantrums. I think they're saying the Mr. Temper tantrums. So they're basically telling Trump, basically, you shape up too. You shape up too. This is going on. It's real. Just because you're living in luxury doesn't mean that you have the right to harm people who aren't, who you think are beneath you. They're telling both of them, get off your high horse. Get off your high horse. This is real. And they're saying we shouldn't have to threaten you. And then in parentheses, they're saying just in parentheses, saying with eternal damnation. They're saying that we shouldn't have to threaten you with eternal damnation. You know better. Get off your high horse and get your butts to work. That's what they're saying. They're also saying death isn't pretty, It's like all this stagecraft. They're using the word stagecraft. All this stagecraft, and it's like it's something to do. Like it's something to get your face on TV. Like it's something. This guy looks like he's dancing. They're like, stop dancing on their graves. It's not pretty. What you're doing isn't pretty, and it's wrong. And they're basically they're screaming the word wrong at me, like all in upper caps, And this guy, they're showing me, is very sad. They're like saying, like, look, the Native Americans know what's going on because they've been through it, and they're sad too. They're telling me a lot of people are sad because they know it's wrong. And they're also saying, and they're not going to respect you until you admit that it's wrong and you admit that you were wrong and that you're going to do something about it. So, they want me to keep going with this issue. They're showing me this, and they're just saying, oh, it's all money again. And it looks like this is like they're smelting it or something. They're smelting money. Is that what they're doing? There's some kind of machinery cranking out money. Oh, and they're saying, yeah, feeding the war machine. Okay. And then we have the Nine of Swords. And, that can mean a lot of things, including depression. And this lady looks very depressed. But they're reminding us that these people have loved ones. It ruins everybody's life when they lose a loved one. They're saying, think about when you lose a loved one. Well, how would you feel if you lost lots of loved ones for something so stupid and inane, basically? They're saying, you want to take his land to do, to put more businesses on, the same old businesses you have somewhere else, to make it just like everything else, like a big box district or something, like a business district. And you're taking all these lives just so you can bulldoze the properties and put up the same old stuff. They're saying that people are special, and you need a lot of different people. They're saying you need a lot of different people to survive. Not everybody comes up with everything you need. This is sort of like a team effort. And is there anything else? Oh, and okay, this one, I thought when they had me lay this card out, I thought this was Trump basically, giving a pittance to the poor and, keeping everything for the rich. But this is that same theme, like you're killing people for money. That's not pretty. And it's just plain stupid. And what else are they saying? Oh, should I censor this one? Good grief. Okay. The world. Okay, they're saying, basically, a lot of the world is participating in this nonsense, but most of the world knows it's wrong, and most of the world knows that you're a con, and that people are lying to them. They're basically saying people aren't stupid. They know what you did, and it seems to be a theme here. It's like, we know what you did. Everybody else knows what you did. They know what you're doing. You know, you think you're getting away with it, but you're not. And, oh yeah, this one, again, the juggler can mean a lot of things. This could be a card like a lady maybe who has a job and she has to handle her children too, like maybe a single mother or even a mother who's very busy, you know, trying to do housework and be a perfect mom and hold down a job at the same time. That's a lot of time what a juggler is. But in this case, they're saying juggling lies. They're saying they're juggling lies. I didn't realize this reading was going to be so much about the Middle East. Yeah, they're saying it's not just about the Middle East, that they're very offended by people juggling lies all the time. You know, just trying to keep their lies straight is what they're saying. Okay, and then this little cute bunny rabbit came up. Oh, and, okay, well, I thought this was about the bunny, but apparently it's about the tree stump. Okay, and cutting off people's family trees and basically, you know, cutting off the limbs so that the tree can't grow anymore. Let's see, what do they want to say about that? Obviously, it's kind of self-explanatory. They're saying, yes, it is self-explanatory. You know, that's what they're doing to these people. It's not just the immediate people they kill, but, you know, beyond that. Also, you know, obviously also blocking communications in the area and so that people can't tell people what's really happening. They're basically cutting people off and isolating them and then killing off all the generations to come. Okay, this one is Nine of Cups reversed. Oh my gosh, I think that Linda G got this card. Oh my gosh, they're so clever. I mean, this is one thing that gets me about rearranging letters and finding one little piece of a picture that you didn't know was there. Okay, they're moving into sexual abuse now. All right, so okay, they're not letting me clear out the old ones yet. Okay, the juggling apparently of affairs, and they mean of the sexual kind. Okay, so remember that ad where the woman's saying that she was told by Trump, oh, you know, when his wife Melania was dressing for another photo shoot, that he takes a woman, he tricks her into going to a room with him by telling her, I want to show you this beautiful painting, this beautiful room, you know, come with me. They're showing me a painting, you know, with a part of a picture on it that looks like it's probably a pretty picture. And then you have, you know, reversed cups. They're saying that he wasn't really happy in this marriage, but of course the offensive part is assaulting women. Again, something that probably shouldn't be repeated on YouTube, but they're saying he's the devil. In other words, the way he treats women. Oh no, they're correcting me. Okay, I just got a correction. The way he treats everyone. The way he treats everyone. And they're using he's the devil as an expression. Obviously, they're not validating or invalidating anything to do with lore about the devil. But they're saying basically, yeah, he's very evil, or the way he treats people is, they don't really come out and say he's evil. They try to put people on the correct path. They're saying what he does to people is very evil, you know, especially what he does to women. So I'm going to have to take the little censorship butterfly over here and cover this one up. This woman is, oh gee, how do I do this one? Okay, this woman is basically bare-chested. So I'm gonna censor that part of it the best I can. I think I just flashed her for a second, but okay. But her arms are covered by the cloak. And when I first saw this, my intuition was forcing her, you know, basically covering her hands so that she can't use her hands. And I wasn't sure what that was going to mean in the reading, where it would come up, because, you know, you can do that to a lot of people. You can stop them from their ability to do things. And in this case, they're saying he was able to stop them from fighting back. You know, obviously, there's the size of him, a very tall, heavy man, kind of like a gorilla. But, you know, also his lawyers and everything else, basically, he was able to render them submissive. You know, they're showing a pretty redheaded woman here. They're basically saying, just say it, forced to take her clothes off. She also looks very young in that photo. Let's just turn this the other way here so we don't have to worry about covering her up. But yeah, okay, so the sexual abuse is an issue. I think I'll just leave it at that. Is there anything else I should say about that? I'm directing that question at them. I'm already starting to go hoarse here. And my voice wasn't doing too great to begin with because it's kind of cold outside tonight and I was out shopping today. So my apologies. But let's see, is there anything else you want to say about the assaults on women? I'm getting self-explanatory, but it's evil. All right, I have intuition to basically leave these three cards out, the rabbit, the juggler, and the unclothed woman, the Four of Wands. Basically, part of it is the rabbit reference and the comedian's jokes about Latinos liking to reproduce like rabbits. Oh, wait, no, I have the wrong thing here. I should have the censored thing here. Two of Wands, basically, it wanted me... Oh, I guess maybe that's just telling me it's time to do that. Nostalgia. The nostalgia card. Interesting. Okay, now they told me not to throw that away. This is a part of it. Okay, when I was putting this down on the table, this was already pulled out of it for some reason. That was from a prior reading I did a long time ago, and I don't even remember what the reading was about anymore. But I was told to read verbatim what the Two of Wands says. Now this particular deck, I don't think it has a booklet that came with it. I mean, maybe. No, I think it's just all printed on the cards. So let's see if I can quickly find the Two of Wands. Let's see, here's the Three of Wands. You know, I always like to try to help people learn something with any video I do on just about anything. And tonight, at least, I mean, we can go ahead and I'm seeing a lot of cards here that they want me to pull. Just a lot of cards that they want me to pull. And I don't really want to get into that. I mean, I had certain questions. Oh, they really want me to pull this one. Of course, I was going through the whole deck. I mean, and this one. And for some reason, these two. Oh, here it is. Okay, so here's the Two of Wands. Indicates growth of personal power and courage. You will command the respect and attention of others. Embark on a new adventure. Act decisively. Research carefully before making decisions. New creative ideas needed for success. Commit all of your energy to new projects. Okay, now I'm going to ask them why they had me read that. Oh, that's to my audience. It's this guy holding the world in his hands. Yeah, they're basically saying, you have the world in your hands. Now go do it. Oh yeah, and this is like the new growth card. See the little sprouts sprouting from the rods? So they're basically saying, you know, you can save the earth, you can make a difference. And this is, you know, I've learned this a lot. A lot of time, if a person experiences things like this, the reason for their soul is that they have to experience real evil. That basically, you know, not everybody has a good heart, and they just basically want you to know that there are evil people in the world, and sometimes, you know, for others it sets them on a path. And any experience can set people on a path, and some people might say, well, it gives you a cause. Well, that depends on whether or not you're able and willing to pick up that cause and you think it's worth fighting for. But it actually does educate you. Every experience, people claim that adversity helps you, and in the way it does, it teaches you to solve problems and overcome things. Basically, they're saying, well, you know, this is what's going on. Now you have to have the courage to do something about it. You know, obviously they're not telling you to go out and do something dishonorable. Everything about this reading has been, you know, them showing disgust at certain behavior and wanting better from people, a lot better in terms of our leadership, people who have the world in their hands now. So basically they just want people to wise up and accept their power. You know, it reminds me of, and they're putting this phrase in my head, we are the ones we've been waiting for. But what it reminds me of is during Bush's wars, I'd always think to myself, well, geez, somebody should be handling that. Somebody should be handling that. And of course, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't feel that I was good enough. I've never run a campaign. People are experts on that. There are experts that exist on things like that, and they went to school for it. And yet it seemed like certain things weren't being done, unless you paid people. And of course, there's never enough money to pay people for everything. And so I actually had to pick up some of the work and do it myself. I didn't feel like I was good enough to go out and do that work, but I learned and I did the best I could. Of course, with that comes the discovery of some natural talents you may have. I mean, you might think you're not capable. Well, I'm not a scientist. I can't fix global warming overnight. Well, nobody can fix global warming overnight, but there are people who've, basically worked on movements like recycling, and now we all have to recycle, or most people do. You start off with one idea, and it doesn't mean that you have to be a genius or an attorney or something to contribute. They want people who can do good and who know right from wrong to go out there and put that into motion. They're saying there's going to be more on this later. Okay. Okay, now I am being told to pull this one, all right, and this one, and this one. Okay, the coffin card. Like I say, if somebody has already died, I think I even did a reading for practice once on Mother Teresa, who had long since passed. This came up right away for her, like them saying, hey, you're doing a reading on somebody who's already passed. Well, I already knew that about her, so it made sense. I have rarely seen this used as a respite or recovery period, even though it can mean that. It almost always means someone who has died. But what we're looking at here is, I did have a question about what happens to Trump. Does he take office? Doesn't he take office? They're also wanting me to do this. Should I read it? Bottoming out. Trouble is on the way. Thinking like a victim or martyr will keep your life in a downward spiral. Plans and projects are in jeopardy. Your home life may be disrupted. Any area of your life is open to conflict. No matter how powerful and safe you are, trouble will find you. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I should have read that. Okay, well, that explains something. He even kind of has the hair color of Trump, maybe a little darker, but trouble will find you. And this is like an orangey sunset. They're basically saying the orange one, and they're also saying it's the sunset of his life. I mean, obviously, he's a fairly elderly man with some health problems, and he's not honest about his health problems, but it's pretty obvious he has some. Oh, he is dressed in black, almost like the Grim Reaper. All right, I've been wondering if he does pass on, is it a natural death? Is it his health? Is it something from Iran or the Middle East? All these people he's been threatening to ban, and the fact that he attacked, some people in Iran that were terrorists, or he called terrorists. I was wondering, well, is it them? Is it somebody inside the government, like a Kennedy assassination? Not that I'm comparing him at all to Kennedy, and they're not in the same league. So what happens? I mean, is it domestic assassination? Is it Iranian, Middle Eastern? I mean, the Middle East has been all over the reading tonight, and justice, and but that doesn't mean that's why he doesn't take office. If he doesn't, it just means that's a big issue. So what happens to him? Why doesn't he take office? If he does he take office? And if not, why? I mean, what happens to him? This kind of confirms to me, okay, the sunset of his life, a coffin, and then this is a spiritual person. I have intuition to basically leave these three cards out: the rabbit, the juggler, and the unclothed woman, the Four of Wands. Basically, part of it is the rabbit reference and the comedian's jokes about Latinos liking to reproduce like rabbits. Oh, wait, no. I have the wrong thing here. I should have the censored thing here. Two of Wands, basically, it wanted me... Oh, I guess maybe that's just telling me it's time to do that. Nostalgia. The nostalgia card. Now they're telling me not to throw that away. This is a part of it. Okay, when I was putting this down on the table, this was already pulled out of it for some reason. That was from a prior reading I did a long time ago, and I don't even remember what the reading was about anymore. But I was told to read verbatim what the Two of Wands says. Now this particular deck, I don't think it has a booklet that came with it. I mean, maybe. No, I think it's just all printed on the cards. So let's see if I can quickly find the Two of Wands. Let's see, here's the Three of Wands. They want me to read verbatim what the Two of Wands says. So let me go through this. You know, I always like to try to help people learn something with any video I do on just about anything. And I've been told to pull both these cards. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it. I mean, this is turning into being a really long reading, and I don't know if I can keep doing it with any quality much longer. Tonight, at least. I mean, we can go ahead and I'm seeing a lot of cards here that they want me to pull. Just a lot of cards that they want me to pull, and I don't really want to get into that. I mean, I had certain questions, and I still don't have answered as to why. Oh, they really want me to pull this one and this one, and for some reason these two. I haven't found the Two of Wands yet. Oh, here it is. Okay, so here's the Two of Wands. Indicates growth of personal power and courage. You will command the respect and attention of others. Embark on a new adventure. Act decisively. Research carefully before making decisions. New creative ideas needed for success. Commit all of your energy to new projects. Okay, now I'm going to ask them why they had me read that. Oh, that's to my audience. It's this guy holding the world in his hands. Yeah, they're basically saying, you have the world in your hands, now go do it. See the little sprouts sprouting from the rods? So they're basically saying, you know, you can save the earth, you can make a difference. And this is, you know, I've learned this a lot. A lot of time, if a person experiences things like this, the reason for their soul is that they have to experience real evil. That basically, you know, not everybody has a good heart, and they just basically want you to know that there are evil people in the world, and sometimes, you know, for others it sets them on a path. And any experience can set people on a path, and some people might say, well, it gives you a cause. Well, that depends on whether or not you're able and willing to pick up that cause and you think it's worth fighting for. It actually does educate you. Every experience, people claim that adversity helps you, and in the way it does, it teaches you to solve problems and overcome things. Basically, they're saying, well, you know, this is what's going on. Now you have to have the courage to do something about it. And, you know, obviously they're not telling you to go out and do something dishonorable. Everything about this reading has been showing disgust at certain behavior and wanting better from people, a lot better in terms of our leadership, people who have the world in their hands now. So basically they just want people to wise up and accept their power. You know, it reminds me of, and they're putting this phrase in my head, we are the ones we've been waiting for. Of course, with that comes a discovery of some natural talents you may have. You might think, well, I'm nobody special. Well, you can read, you can write. That's important. I mean, some people can't do that. You know, you have to start with the basics. Maybe you can write really well where your grammatical mistakes really aren't that bad or very rare. Maybe you can spell well, you know, without having spell check guide you through everything. Maybe you have a decent vocabulary. Maybe you can tone your vocabulary down so the people with just a high school education or even lower can understand it and yet still get your thoughts out. I mean, there's all kinds of things. So, you might think you're not capable. Well, I'm not a scientist. I can't fix global warming overnight. Well, nobody can fix global warming overnight, but there are people who've worked on movements like recycling, and now we all have to recycle, or most people do. You start off with one idea, and it doesn't mean that you have to be a genius or an attorney or something to contribute. They want people who can do good and who know right from wrong to go out there and put that into motion. They're saying there's going to be more on this later. Okay, now I am being told to pull this one. All right, and this one. And this one. Okay, the coffin card. Like I say, if somebody has already died, I think I even did a reading for practice once on Mother Teresa, who had long since passed. This came up right away for her, like them saying, hey, you're doing a reading on somebody who's already passed. Well, I already knew that about her, so it made sense. I have rarely seen this used as a respite or recovery period, even though it can mean that. It almost always means someone who has died. I did have a question about what happens to Trump. Does he take office? Doesn't he take office? They're also wanting me to do this. Should I read it? Bottoming out. Trouble is on the way. Thinking like a victim or martyr will keep your life in a downward spiral. Plans and projects are in jeopardy. Your home life may be disrupted. Any area of your life is open to conflict. No matter how powerful and safe you are, trouble will find you. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I should have read that. Okay, well, that explains something. He even kind of has the hair color of Trump, maybe a little darker, but trouble will find you. And this is like an orangey sunset. They're basically saying the orange one. And they're also saying it's the sunset of his life. I mean, obviously he's a fairly elderly man with some health problems. I mean, he's not honest about his health problems, but it's pretty obvious he has some. Okay, so what are they trying? Oh, he is dressed in black, almost like the Grim Reaper. Okay, what are they trying to tell me about this guy? All right, I've been wondering if he does pass on, is it a natural death? Is it his health? Is it something from Iran or the Middle East? All these people he's been threatening to ban, and the fact that he attacked some people in Iran that were terrorists or he called terrorists. I was wondering, well, is it them? Is it somebody inside the government, like a Kennedy assassination? Not that I'm comparing him at all to Kennedy, and they're not in the same league. Even Kennedy's womanizing wasn't even 1% as bad as Trump's. I mean, when you talk about forcing women. So what happens? I mean, is it domestic assassination? Is it Iranian, Middle Eastern? I mean, the Middle East has been all over the reading tonight, and justice. And but that doesn't mean that's why he doesn't take office if he doesn't. It just means that that's a big issue. So what happens to him? Why doesn't he take office? If he does he take office? And if not, why? I mean, what happens to him? This kind of confirms to me, okay, the sunset of his life, a coffin, and then this is a spiritual person. What I'm showing here, it looks like, okay, the sunset of his life, coffin, that kind of implies health to me. This card is actually, some people say it represents something like the Pope. It could be a teacher. This is actually, I think, the Feng Shui tarot, though, so this is probably a Buddhist priest. What is he trying to tell me? I'm looking at his shaved head. I mean, Trump is naturally bald, aside from taking drugs for hair growth and having scalp reduction and all kinds of things to kind of cover it up, and that elaborate comb over he has. Or he's sitting on a rock in the water, probably taking in some chi there, or prana. The baldness at first, I mean, the first glance kind of struck me as somebody who has their head shaved for cancer. I don't know what kind of problems he's currently having. Supposedly he's had a series of mini strokes, quote unquote, and he does have physical signs that he's had strokes, and the cognitive exam they gave him would be something they might give a stroke victim. I think I need more cards. I tried to pull a few. This is interesting. Oh, this is a little wild. I mean, in general, that represents a crossroads. No major changes and few events. Your heart is closed off to avoid the possibility of pain. Emotional barriers protect you from love. You are basically in denial. Inability to accept the reality of your problems keeps the situations from changing. Take action and compromise to resolve issues. I'm not sure what that refers to. They're okay. I guess I know I was having trouble again. The crescent moon. I have to bring this over to the camera to show you. There's a little crescent moon up here. I'm seeing that now that the water here means overseas. A little moon up there. Okay, so, I mean, is it the head shape for Cancer or is it the Middle East? And they're also bringing this up, the Empress card, which could mean fertility, and sometimes this comes up for a woman who's pregnant. It's, its nickname might be the pregnancy card. You usually get this if a woman is pregnant, but it could mean something else. It could mean she's just doing well, fertility or abundance. But the inkling I get from it, the initial inkling I got was that he has other children out there that he's not admitting to, but I'm not sure about that. Now I'm being told to back off of that because whatever. All those little red flowers on her gown, they're coming up as blood spots. And I'm thinking, well, there are wars overseas. Does that mean he's assassinated because of those wars, of the people he's killed? I mean, I'm kind of posing the question. So we have three possibilities already popping up here. Well, this is really two when you're talking about overseas and, one of the symbols for Islam. And then, all the people he killed. But then Cancer and sunset, the sunset, in other words, implying natural causes. Here, trouble will find you. Symbols for Islam coming up and the genocide and all of this could be that he does take power and because of his bad decisions, basically is assassinated. It also could be that he just makes a bunch of decisions and spiritually, that's why they decide it's time for him to go. It's time for his sun to set. Sometimes they don't let you have an answer, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. It could be because they don't want you to change the timeline of events. It could be they don't want you to know for a reason. They don't want you interfering. They don't want other people to have that information where they can interfere. And so the reading was meant for them and not you. Yeah, most of the time, no, you don't get the extreme detail. And that's because it's not your place. It's not for you to know yet. It's for somebody else to know. And when they decide, my experience with the spiritual world is that they seem to have no problems looking into the past, present, or future. And I've had that experience too, where they start predicting things and I even get a name and it hasn't happened yet. They know what's going to happen, but it hasn't exactly been shown to me yet. But there is a lot going on here about judgment and the Middle East. And basically, the judgment would be a spiritual one at this point because of limp-wristed justice here on the earth. It also could be an illness. I mean, an illness that's unexpected and hard for somebody to overcome of his age and with his other health problems. I don't really know what to think here. So I'm going to grab some more of these cards that they had me pull as I was laying out my boxes of decks. What I'm being shown is that Trump likes to put his face on things, okay? And this kind of looks like the profile of a man with bizarre hair. I think they're trying to tell me that, he's very vain. He likes putting his face on things and his name on things. Even if it's ridiculous to have anybody's face on something, he likes putting his face on there anyway, which, is something we already know about him. Strength. I'm being shown the infinity symbol up here, and for some reason, infinite wisdom comes to me. Even though this card says strength, they're talking about wisdom. Even though this isn't really a marijuana leaf, it kind of has a pattern, not exactly of one, but okay, so they're basically showing me the idea of a marijuana plant and telling me that not everybody is strong enough to handle things. Some people turn to drugs or other things to handle what's going on in their life, to handle their trauma, basically. Now, why are they telling me this? Okay, now they're showing me flowers, like somebody has died in this person's life. Now they're telling me some people pick up arms to deal with that. This one kind of goes with her and the bare-chested woman, and this has nothing to do with 201. So, oh yeah, here's the censored sticker. Okay, I found my censored sticker. Has to do with that and her, actually. All right, so something about women. But anyway, so this woman has a very ample bosom, and they're saying, yes, he likes big busted women. Okay, now they're bringing up that his first wife was Eastern European. She kind of has that look. So that must be Ivana Trump. But apparently it's also his third wife, Melania, also Eastern European woman. Then this represents the young girls or maybe the teens that he's been involved with. Obviously, kind of the Epstein kind of thing in his Miss Teen USA pageant remarks, what he does there. And they're telling me it's about Epstein. Okay, this is what this is about. Virginia Joffrey, I think that's who this card, it kind of looks like her. It reminds me of her. That's what this card may be. And she's kind of being encircled by swords, almost like a cage. Like they're putting things around her to make it hard for her to leave the situation, and she's like a caged-in animal. This woman is somebody's taking her on a boat, and she's looking in the other direction. And basically with Trump, it's like that, they're saying, they're giving me the words, that's the Trump train. It's like, yeah, taking women where they don't want to go. And then this again for this situation. This is a little girl. This is a nostalgia card, but they're telling me that's part of a different thought. I don't know if this is exactly what happens to him, but now you have in the mix, women who have been wronged by him. It's part of the theme of justice, but what does that mean as far as what happens to him? I mean, people already know what's been going on, and supposedly they elected him anyway. So what went on here, I'm not sure why they're showing this to me. They're saying it's a parade of women against him. And now they're showing me the crescent moon again. Yeah, it's not so much that as is, the sexual assaults. Is it that they upset people, or is this going to be a woman who takes him down? I mean, what's going on here? What am I seeing? No, he says just a part of his moral attitude. I don't know if they mean attitude. I think they wanted me to say the word latitude, but I'm not sure that that's going to make sense to everyone. Okay, so they're saying he caused them a lot of pain and suffering. Maybe they're talking about lawsuits? And I'm getting, yeah, exactly. He does have lawsuits. It's like a piece of the puzzle that basically inspires people. So it does appear that he could die by violence. I'm not sure when. I mean, obviously they gave me the month time frame up front, but that sounds so shocking. I don't know if it is true or if that's what they were even trying to tell me. So it does seem like this is something they don't really want to come right out and tell me. And I've learned not to try to force their hand, because sometimes you ask them a question and they'll say, yeah, and you know that something's wrong with the yes that you just received, and then later it turns out not to be true. Okay, so this is the devil, and you have the woman and man chained to him who are basically naked. So there is the theme there of, some kind of, sin or whatever. The devil generally, though, means materialism. And then I have this guy, the emperor, but notice he has all these red, white, and blue lights around him, or whatever those are, wands with kind of, different kinds of crystal-like objects. One of them looks like a gemstone, but has something in it. And it almost looks like the QAnon shaman with the horns and the beard, only he's like in a kind of effeminate outfit. So saying materialism, somebody who likes power and money, which we already know about him. Okay, and he also is very much into physical relations with women. Oh, okay, they wanted me to pull this, and I didn't understand why, but now I realize there's a cat in it, and also a Native American symbolism. Okay, so they're going through that. I guess they're basically talking about the lies, about the eating the cats, the lies that they spread about people that could get them harmed. And they're saying this is Hang Mike Pence. I mean, they're just very succinct about it. This one is about Hang Mike Pence. And notice he's in red, white, and blue, American flag colors, and he's hanging by his ankle, of course, but that's the way it is. The hanged man is generally a card of there's nothing you can do about it. That's about threatening Mike Pence's life. So it looks like this one is about wanting to be king, and also this is about wanting to be a king or emperor, and having, your people go in there and try to commit a coup, which goes along with the hang Mike Pence, somebody who wouldn't commit an illegal act for him. Okay, now they're saying to me, okay, so he's doing all this for what? Because he wants to be emperor, because he's they're giving me the phrase dirty old man. They're basically saying, well, why is he doing all this? He already has money. He already has everything he needs. They're saying basically that it's a perversion, that he feels he has to do all of this. And it's not a need of his. He doesn't need to do any of it, but he just keeps doing it. And he doesn't need to do it at all. It's not like he's starving or he's a woman who can't get diapers for her kids. He's just doing this for his own amusement. They're basically saying, it's basically a judgment of his moral character, which we already know is lacking. They're saying it's time for the end. They're also bringing his image up again, which is the one where my attention was drawn to the bald head and I thought of cancer, but now they're drawing my attention to his hands and the fact that he's there kind of in a meditation. That they're saying that there's more to life, that there is spirituality. They're saying he's leading people down the wrong path. Basically, this isn't what people should be striving for. They're saying it's not sport, you're playing with real people's lives, and you should know better. That comes up a lot. People should know better, but they're saying you, the audience, should know better, or the people who are participating in what he's doing. That you should know better, that you should choose a more spiritual path, because they're saying this path of his leads nowhere. They're like, okay, so now they're showing me the coffin card, and they're saying, this is where it leads. In death, you've accomplished nothing. They're saying it'll all be forgotten. Well, that makes sense. For if you're a really bad president, or all you did with your life was accumulate money, you're not going to really be remembered for anything. They're drawing my attention to the stained glass for some reason. Oh, I knew right away. Something popped into my head right away, but I kind of dismissed it as probably not what they're saying. But it might be. Okay, so they want me to tell the story, then they'll interpret it. This is used as an example of people who talk about the accuracy of Edgar Cayce, the Christian psychic. When he was in one of his trances, he was asked to give a reading for a young lady. He basically said that she would become a well-known glass artist. She has her stained glass artwork on display. It's in one of the buildings in D.C. She's a very famous stained glass artist, just like he said she'd be. And I think she actually did a little stained glass window for the Cayce Center. It might be in the meditation room, if I'm remembering correctly. But that just popped into my head when I saw that. Okay, so what are you telling me? I'm asking the spirit guides. They're telling me, well, it's self-explanatory. She made something of her life, and they didn't. Okay, so when you say they, is that like Trump's followers or Trump? And they're saying they all do it, they just waste their time. They waste their life away on being a hooligan, and what does it get them? Do something better with yourself, with your mind, with your talent. You can achieve great things. But anyway, that's it for tonight. Okay, my apologies. I did the original reading on the 9th of November, and I started editing the reading, taking out a lot of blank spaces, because a lot of times I see these cards and it takes me a few seconds to get some intuition on them. And so I went out and I took a lot of blank spaces out. I cut out some extra verbiage to try to shorten it, because it is a very long reading. Basically, these three cards were up. When I saw this a couple of nights ago, I was drawn to his bald head, and it reminded me of someone who had their head shaved because of cancer. And I received intuition that they were talking about somebody with a serious illness. Now, that doesn't mean that Trump is going to have cancer, and I think the time frame they gave was about a month, or at least just in passing, a month was mentioned. Who knows if that's the actual timeline. And also, tarot readings aren't 100% accurate. And it reminded me of the strokes, or the series of mini strokes that he is rumored to have had, and that his mannerisms show some evidence of he has health problems. And I don't think they would have raided his former doctor's office if there wasn't something they didn't want people to see. And he never did release his medical records, not once. We have here somebody who has some kind of an illness or a head injury or something about the head. We have a coffin, which almost always represents death. It can mean a respite or recuperation period, something like that. But most of the time it does represent a death. And the fact that Linda G., the Comanche psychic, pulled it up and thought of that and also showed that he wasn't going to even take office seems to confirm that. And then this person is kind of like looking off into the sunset. The implication is that's the sunset of his life. But if you'll recall, when I started the reading, I wanted to know if he wasn't taking office, why, and if it had to do with a coffin or his death, I wanted to know both the spiritual and physical causes. And I think this reading has laid that out. So we have like various spiritual causes. I mean, basically the man is on a path that they consider to be immoral and destructive. And a number of other words could describe it. They laid it out pretty much already in detail. The physical cause seems to point to, because the coffin card came up when they were talking about the head and the serious illness, it seems to be some sort of natural cause that may have to do with the head. But because the coffin happens to come up when I was given that intuition on this person, and given intuition that this person didn't really represent a spiritual person, but instead someone that resembles a cancer victim, I think the cause will be natural. The spiritual cause seemed to be, that what he's accomplishing is destructive and immoral, and they want people to do better. That they, and I think he's considered to be a lost cause for doing better. So I think the main questions in the reading were answered, and then some. That's one thing that gets me about the spiritual world is they can be so fast and so clever, and of course, seeing into the past, present, and future doesn't seem to be a problem for them. But they will take a corner of a picture and draw your attention to it, and you'll see something there that you have never noticed before. For now, that reading was very long, and I'm pretty exhausted from doing it, and I have a lot of other things to do. So the next reading won't probably happen for at least a few days, maybe a week. And my spirit guides seem to be telling me that that was a lot for them to do too. Yeah, I'm not really up for another reading for a little bit. So if something urgent comes up and I really, really want to do a reading, I will. But until then, I have the next reading to be determined, and I'm not even sure of the topic yet. But thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed this, please give a thumbs up and like the video. And also you can subscribe to the channel free of charge. I don't have a paid channel, just you can just subscribe to it to get notifications of another video that I post later on.